Okay, cool. Awesome. Welcome to today's office hours. Last time we talked about a lot of things pertaining to kind of just like general updates around protocol. This time, I want to chat about kind of like a couple future items on the roadmap. Um, the results of the Snapchat vote so far, and then take like a bunch of questions because like last time we didn't get a chance to. Um, so we can go from there. Just having a look here. Current snapshot. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well. Um, yeah. Brian, Cujo. I see you guys are here. Kaiser's here as well. If you guys want to join, raise your hand so we can talk about the policy framework really quick. I know we talked about it on Monday, but like looks like it's going to go ahead, ending tomorrow. But otherwise, it looks good. Um, so that means basically like yeah, from here on out, we'll be kind of monitoring the state of the APY just to make sure that we have stuff that is like actually sustainable long term, and we can actually keep up with the pace at which carbon is coming on chain. Hey, Kuja, at which carbon is coming on chain. I had two really interesting emails come to my inbox this week, which were hilarious. One of them was, again, I was trying to help some people bridge some tonnage. They were like, okay, I'm trying to refer them on to the right people. And they informed me that there is now a bidding process for carbon, basically, and they don't disclose the detail. It's like a sealed bid almost for carbon, which is hilarious. This is like a totally new thing. And they've yeah, so basically they're like you have to bid your amount that you want and the price, and you may or may not get it being outbid by other people. Really funny because it's totally it's basically changed the market entirely. It's now become a seller's market. Like people who own tonnage can basically command premiums, and so like the fallback always is these people don't sell to these people. They're just going to come bridge them on chain and sell them on chain. And with the rising price of BCT, with us slowly like kind of pulling it in through naked bonds, that's happening correctly, and it's awesome. It's great to see. I think it's like sitting at like 780 or something. So really cool. Basically, is working as intended, which is awesome. Um, One thing else I wanted to touch on. I don't remember what's today. It is the 20th. All right, so yeah, next week is the ocean drop. So there's going to be that's the one that where all the core team kind of like donated BCTs to. But Spen, who's in the audience today, is doing a piece with Klima. It's really cool. We're gonna be auctioning it on OpenSea because it's got some special properties to it, which we'll show you guys next week when it launches. But December 3rd is when it'll start, and it'll end on the 5th. So you have 2 days to bid on it. And yeah, so that's going to be a really cool piece. I'm really excited to show you guys what it looks like. I'm sure Sven is as well. It's a really cool piece. So we're working on like a bit of a front end for it as well, just so it has like a unique place to stay. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. It's like super early. Brian, you got something? Cujo, either of you?
I'm just hanging out.
I was just hanging out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's the other one. WS Klima and GOM bonds are approved. So we're going to get those up and running as soon as GOM gets on chain. I was talking to Apollo about it the other day, trying to make sure that he's got it all lined up and ready to go. Hopefully soon. But yeah, that's going to be really cool. Basically, we'll have liquidity for the actual OM protocol as well. It's going to be awesome. I think I talked about it last week, but or on Monday. Man, time flies. Um, and so that's really cool. feels like an eternity. It's like so hard to like. Yeah, it's been like 6 weeks, like whatever. Yeah, last week. No, last week was a month. Okay, it's been 5 weeks since launch. Definitely feels like been 10 months. But yeah, so that's coming. So there's a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. The departments and the DAO structures like finally set up. So like that's good. We'll start opening it up to more contributors now that there's like actual process in place, and we can kind of like filter out who's in it for a quick buck and who wants to actually do something. And then yeah, what else? What else? Yeah, that's it on my end. I mean, I kind of want to take a bunch of questions today because we didn't take any last time, and I know a lot of people look forward to that. So let's check the requests. Swerve's got his hand up. Why don't you pop on up? Trying to scroll through all the questions, man. Okay. Provide a recap of previous policy talk. Did we not record it, Brian? Joe? I mean, it was like a 2-hour session. Yeah, it was just like we
someone recorded like the last 23 minutes of it.
Okay, well, they missed all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this office hour session be recorded. Usually these ones are because 0xJ is always here. Yeah, it's a tough one. Any plans for cross network listing? I mean, with WS Klima, we basically can now. If we want to, though, I mean, I don't know if there's a particular advantage for us diluting our liquidity this early anyway. I mean, Olympus is just starting to do it, and this is like months after they've launched. So that's kind of like the thinking there. Definitely possible though. And I know like a lot of people are very interested in what we're doing, but very hard to actually provide concrete answers of like where it should go, because like you want to concentrate liquidity where like slippage is low, and then you don't want to like have it listed on places where things are in trouble. I don't know, he didn't join. Okay, I'll try Moth. Ooh, that's a good question. Toucan, other carbon back coins. So spoke to them recently. They are Moth. I'll get to you in a sec. Don't worry, thanks for coming up. So Toucan is working on a couple pools. The first one they're going to put up is NBCT, which is nature-based carbon ton. And how we provide liquidity after that, we're still kind of thinking about it, like in policy. Like, do we do an NBCT BCT pool? I think that's like the smartest way to do it, and then like route everything through BCT, simply because like that's that's the best place to do it. They said mid-December, but you know how it is. Deploying in December is like basically a death sentence. So I'd sooner like have them do it in January, just because it's better. Like it's just like everyone will be around, people will be paying attention. Like if we do a launch of anything in December, it won't go over so well. That's the same advice I gave to a couple other people building different carbon bridges. So like this isn't so they're like not just Toucan, but a couple others. So I said, yeah, like they're like, we're going to be done by December, ready. I said, okay, well, maybe wait until January, just because we want to have like we can support it properly. Like holidays, like everyone goes away. If you ever tried to get anything manufactured in December, you know that it's a complete write-off, and you're not getting enough into January anyway. So software is very similar in terms of like uptake. But yeah, okay, Moth, what is up?
Yeah, not much. I have a bit of a cold, so my head's a bit fuzzy, but yeah, I'll try and answer everything I can. Or ask a question rather. But yeah, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Great.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Obviously, I'm from the UK, so we don't have that here. But happy Thanksgiving for the American peeps.
It's old America, okay?
Yes, sir. Great to have you here. What's your question, sir?
Well, to be fair, I don't have a question per se. It's just I'm getting in a habit now where I just love sort of listening in on these, and yeah, I just love everything that you guys are doing, and yeah, especially she just put out the wrapped Klima, which obviously some of you might know. I've just been like praying for ages, just writing in the chat like, when's wrapped Klima coming? When's it coming? So yeah, all my wishes have been granted, and now it's just a case of hoping that Zappa and similar sites can sort of hurry up and put it on there so we can see what's going on with it. But no, I'm happy, and yeah, fantastic job, guys.
Cool. So your question is just good vibes. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'll put you
I love the
back
good
in the
vibes.
audience then, Miles.
Right.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Cheers,
wrap.
though. Thanks.
Wrap Klima. People were asking like when we're gonna bring that into our market pool. I just want to say that
Yeah.
like when you deposit as Klima into the market pool, you get back like market equivalent, like their own token, the ERC token that represents your stake in the S Klima. So technically, like when you deposit it in the market pool, it's already wrapped. Like you look at your Fs, you look at the market ERC token in your wallet, it doesn't increase. So that's also a wrapped version of S Klima for those who want to use that.
So this is compatible with the market XYZ platform. Ooh, that's one thing I want to talk about. Transact. So we got greenlit to use their API, I think yesterday or the day before, and I'm waiting for them to hear back from them on getting Klima like listed. I mean, not listed, but they basically just have to connect it to the Sushi Swap pool. So basically, we're the two biggest pools, BCT, USDC, and BCT Klima on Sushi Polygon. So it's like kind of dumb for them not to. But we're just waiting to see what they do, because they're routing sources from DEXs, if possible. So if we can get on there, that'd be awesome, because then we can edit the DApp and all sorts of cool stuff. But I want to take more questions. So who's here? Lethal Shooter.
Hello.
Hey, man.
And goodbye, peace and prosperity to everyone. I appreciate the entire Climate team for doing what you all do. So my question was actually answered in the chat, but I have another question because right now I'm actually DoorDash here, and it's just I was wondering what type of incentive do you have to reduce have you all thought about any way to reduce the CO2 emission when it comes to all this excess driving that we do now? The gig economy and ride sharing for delivery services, or is that something you haven't really put in the time because it's something probably totally different?
Okay, you're a little fuzzy, but from what I got, is you're asking if there's any incentive for gig economy workers to use carbon emission reductions. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is actually a really fun question, because there's been a lot of research slash not incentives, but things that people have been trying to work out. Because gig economies, yeah, they definitely have a impact, but it's not so. There's two other parts to this. Maybe we can get into the science of how you assess environmental impact anyway. But so at a high level, if you want to compare one thing to another, you going to the grocery store and getting food versus someone making it in a restaurant and then delivering it to you in terms of like impact, you have to do what's called a life cycle assessment. LCA is what it stands for. So LCAs basically is how you encompass the entire scope of the emissions of a particular product or process. So the most famous LCAs that everyone knows, even though it's not, they don't know it as an LCA, is when you're told that a electric car is actually worse for the environment than an internal combustion engine, is because of an LCA that was published by Hummer. So naturally, you can understand why there's something wrong with that, just in the explaining that who wrote it. But in that LCA, scope is what really matters, right? So scope basically implies like, okay, what is the whole life cycle of the product? In the case of the electric vehicle versus internal combustion engines, in that study, they excluded one particular phase of the vehicle that's the most important, which is the use phase. So they only looked at the production of the vehicle, like actually creating it, and they didn't actually consider the lifetime of the vehicle actually in operation. So yes, it costs a little bit more in terms of footprint to create it because of lithium batteries and stuff like that, but like long term it's like drastically less, because if you include the entire life cycle of the system, it's it's even on like the worst power grids where you have like coal still running, like an electric vehicle is still better than a internal combustion. So back to my point originally, LCAs on gig economy stuff and actually delivery is really interesting and fascinating because there's like a growing body of evidence that like shows that like online shopping is like typically better than you going to the store and brick and mortar stores. And this isn't true for all scenarios. Like it's not always true, and it's like really dependent on a number of factors, like how far the store is, where do you live, rural, urban, that kind of stuff. However, let's just say on the average, it's cheaper to buy from Walmart online, like in terms of footprint, than it is to go to the store yourself. The reason being is largely the emission reduction comes from the fact that a post office worker or basically any mail person is driving one vehicle as opposed to 20 vehicles, right? Like instead of me and 20 other people going to the store to buy whatever, we all ordered it from online. One vehicle is on the road driving everything. The same kind of logic you could potentially apply to gig economy working, because the same thing, instead of 20 other people driving to the restaurant to pick up their food, it's one person driving, right? So like you can reduce drastically how many cars are on the road simply because having these people work there. So I don't know is the answer. What kind of, so coming to your original question, which is what can you actually assess in terms of like carbon emissions reductions for gig economy workers? I don't know the answer. However, but I can tell you that just anecdotally from like a bunch of other math and stuff like that from similar type situations, it's probably less. So the incentive to actually participate in such an economy from a green perspective is definitely there. But whether you want to actually reduce it even further is actually a really cool thing. I mean, for you as a worker, it's very simple. You basically look at how many miles you do in your car, take the gasoline fuel efficiency. So like if you burn 4 liters per 100 kilometer or 100 liters per 100 kilometer, and you just figure out basically how many miles you do and take the average, you can figure out how much gasoline you're using and then figure out your footprint from there. Really, really straightforward. Like the not FDA, EPA in America has like very standard figures for pretty much every single vehicle that exists by regulation. So you can look up your car, the year, and then figure out the actual emissions for it. And you can buy BCTs and retire them yourself, or do something like you can buy local or whatever you end up choosing for your emissions reduction pathway. But yeah, it's a great question because it's emerging. It's a very cool piece of it.
Yeah, just to get I feel like the way I can get that answered a little bit more is just like seeing do you have you heard of any regulation on that may lend towards incentivizing this, or will there be And also I like the way you answered it because my knowledge of carbon markets, I'm very new to it and everything. I was brought in by
the APY and all that stuff, just being honest, and then I'm like super just like health conscious and stuff like that. I honestly hate that I drive all the time, but you gotta do what you gotta do to make money.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I appreciate it, and like that's exactly that's the exact you're like the I don't want to say the prime audience, but like you're like the textbook example of the kind of people that we've seen come to the KlimaDAO community. Like it's not full of like big brain carbon market people. Like pretty much everyone, or I would say 80 to 90% of people who come here have no understanding of like anything to do with carbon or carbon emissions or like how the market works, and they come here and they learn a lot. I've watched people go from like knowing nothing to becoming like almost experts in the field in like 2 months, and like understanding like really significantly difficult topics really quickly. And it's really encouraging, and it's awesome because then like people then think, okay, well, how do I translate this to my life? Exactly what you're trying to do. It's super cool.
It's honestly perfect. I was already passionate about like on the planet and stuff. I want my own greenhouse and everything. I'm trying to live off the grid, so I'm going to live off the grid. I'm not trying. It's in the process.
Yeah, like I mean, off-grid living is, I think there's a whole channel dedicated to sustainable lifestyle. Yeah, in community, you should check it out. People like talk about all sorts of weird stuff in there, composting your own farts and stuff like that. But there's definitely, yeah, there's lots to consider. I would be really keen to like figure out a calculator. I mean, you should connect with some people from the contributor Discord and see if we can come up with like a UI for like various use cases, and like maybe do like a survey of like what kind of metrics people want to figure out. Because like there's like the standard stuff, which is like how many trees did we save, or gasoline efficiency created, those type of things. But like things like they're very specific, like in your case, like where you're talking about like how many miles of food did I deliver as a gig worker. That'd be like a really cool thing to think about.
All right, most definitely appreciate you taking your time to answer the question. And just what's the name of that chat again? I should go to.
It's a channel called Sustainable Lifestyle.
Okay, and the channel with the contributors.
That's in Contribute.
Contribute. Okay, appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, next question. Okay, our huddle is here. Hello, our huddle. We don't hear you if you're talking. Did you guys hear him? Or is it just me?
I can't hear. Nope.
Haruo, you might have to press to unmute because I can see I see a green light over your
Hello?
icon.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Cool. I had to switch devices. Anyways, so I thank you guys for answering my question here. So I'm a developer myself, and I really want to appreciate the effort that you guys and the 2King guys have done to bridge on carbon credits, because that opens up a whole new field of things that I can build, which is really exciting. So I've kind of been brainstorming on building auto compounding yielding tokens that are also essentially guilt-free by bonding them in with carbon tokens. So you can offset the carbon that it costs to build to mine these tokens. So I'm working on building out this platform, and I was kind of curious, especially as like a member of this community, I'd absolutely love to have, as far as treasury goes, I don't know what things you guys are trying to bond in, but if because I noticed even Olympus DAO doesn't seem to have a lot of tokens that appreciate and depreciate in value. They're trying to stick with a lot of stable coins. But if I could just ask the question, what assets are you guys interested in onboarding into Treasury? And would something that would be a carbon offset yielded, like kind of an auto compounding yielded bond, something like deposited in a curve using, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and DAI or something that's also carbon neutral, I guess? Would that be something you guys would be interested in the future?
So just to recap, you're asking whether we'd take assets that are non-related to carbon?
No, they'd be carbon neutralized versions of like, Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, we have talked about this. So talked about this what feels like a lifetime ago. But so there's a group called BICAG, which you can look them up, but it's called Blockchain Infrastructure Carbon Offset Working Group. And they work on they're working on basically creating a standard for greenification of assets. Most importantly, like just how to consume offsets on chain and basically make them do exactly what you're talking about, like basically create, for instance, like wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum, you mix it with an offset and you get wrapped green Bitcoin. Once they have like that paper and like that standard published and like that whole framework done, and then people can create wrapped green Bitcoin assets, we can maybe consider taking them in, because by extension we can then assign a risk-free value to them because they were consumed with an offset, right? Because in our case, like risk-free value only grows when we take in carbon, not when we take in like dollar amounts, right? So like it doesn't matter the price so much. It's more like, is it a ton of carbon? Is kind of always the question. But yes, we definitely have been. It's just like this is so new that like it's going to take some time before that evolves. Stable coins themselves, even those by context of like blockchain terms, like they're still very new, right? Like in many cases, I mean USDC's only been around for like a year and a half too. Like it's not. Maybe, damn, I'm old. But yeah, like DAI was like the first attempt at one, and even that one is only like 3 years old, right? Like it's from 2018 is when they really kind of pushed like MakerDAO. So it's an emerging space for sure, but like it's moving very quickly. So I don't think it'll take too long before we see a wrapped green Bitcoin, a wrapped green Ethereum, or wrapped green Matic, or any sort of like wrapped green asset, because there is definitely demand for it. And like from our many conversations that I've had in the past with institutions about like getting Bitcoin on their balance sheets, is always the question always came the same. It's like, well, what's the environmental impact of it? But as we all know, the LCAs of coming back to LCAs. So LCAs of energy efficiency. So I used to work a lot in energy, specifically in modeling. Electrical engineering is kind of like a lot of stuff I used to do, grid level stuff, and so I do this. I know this very well, but as we all know, Bitcoin is as a network, and Ethereum, they consume relatively little in terms of energy consumption, like globally at the global scale. They consume large amounts in like context of financial systems, but even that, there was an LCA that came out this year, which is hilarious. It showed that the entire banking system is twice the size of the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, so it pales in comparison in terms of actual impact. And even that was like, it excluded a lot of like really important parts of running the financial infrastructure around the world. So it was like a very very abstracted calculation, but fundamentally, like, yes is the answer to your question. Like once we get there, like we'll and like it won't just be us that has demand for it as the other half. Like there'll be other people that'll be like, oh, I really want to grab green Bitcoin because I can feel good about having it on my balance sheet, right?
Great. Yeah. I guess I have one quick question, and then I don't want to derail you guys too much, but I want to have a follow up as well for the thing. So as far as, let's say, down the road, I do create this, it's audited, it's all that stuff. Would we just go through a DAO vote?
Yes. I mean, Brian can talk about this, like policy wise, like we would vote to accept it.
Right. And then I just have a follow up on you said that any token that you take, you only actually get risk free value when you have bonded carbon to it. But I guess my question there is, especially with Olympus DAO, the risk free value I thought was something, in case of like everyone unstaking or whatever, what's the value that the stakers would end up actually having? You can still sell the Bitcoin, or you could still sell like the wrapped green Ethereum, because there's still Ethereum in there, right? So that risk free value should still contribute to the protocol, right?
Sort of. I mean, in the case of Olympus, yes. In the case of us, no, because our entire model is Klima can mint more Klimas as long as there's 1 ton of carbon in the chain or in the treasury that backs that, right?
Yeah, I understand. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't. I mean, so Olympus. I mean, Brian is on the policy team at Olympus as well, so he can talk more. I mean, maybe Brian, you want to explain like how you guys assign risk-free values like non-stables?
Well, it's just because
non-stables we can, but I mean, if we have a wrapped green Bitcoin and that has 1 BCT like wrapped into it, kind of like a wrapper. I mean, yeah, I don't see a problem with doing that. It would just be super like inefficient, but yeah, I guess we could. But it'd just be like a super very very marked down like RFE to the point where like maybe not even like useful to like associate RFE to it. But yeah, it's possible. I personally think it's possible. But in regards to your yield farming thing, like BCT when it first came here, BCT is just a carbon offset, right? All it does is just offset your emissions by 1 carbon ton for institutional buyers, right? But now that we put it on the blockchain, we can do those things that you're mentioning, yield farming with them. Like we just added lending and borrowing markets, right? Now people can technically yield farm with BCTs, like just borrow staples against your BCTs and start yield farming. Eventually, protocols are going to make mint against BCT, like create some stable token against it, and then you can yield farm even more against that. So I think that'll be a really cool evolution in BCTs. I'm referring to the original question. I wanted to say that before we derailed somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, something that I'm interested in, because I'm really interested in this community, is doing something like buying a bunch of assets, putting it into a curve farm, and then you get 30% APY on those, but you get it in like curve tokens. Well, instead of compounding into the new asset, you could compound into like BCTs or carbon. So essentially, you're yield farming, but just buying more and more carbon, essentially just endlessly, as long as you hold those tokens. So
yeah, like a yarn ball, right?
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, great. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, well, you guys will hear from me when I finally get around to finishing my current project, and then this is my next one. So that's why I was curious if you guys are interested, because I think it's a really cool concept.
Yes, sir. We always need devs, right, Archie?
Dude, you can't find them fast enough. There is no devs ever. Like it's like an endless shortage. And like good devs, this is like the endless dichotomy of Web3. It's like the second you realize that you're a competent Solidity dev or blockchain dev, you're like, I'm gonna start my own project because you have all the knowledge to do it. And like there's like people say, well, how come this is the case? And what I think it is like if you have the courage and ambition to learn something as difficult as blockchain development and programming, you generally are a more ambitious person than the average person, which then also means that the second you understand it, you're going to try something on your own. So then there's this endless, like, no one will work for anyone but themselves problem. But yes, so happy to have anyone who wants to join as a dev. It's and mostly just to like know them. Like I know so many devs in the space, and like people ask me all the time. I say, hey, do you know this person? Hey, do you think we can, get this built? And I'm like, I don't know. I have a hard time hiring stuff for my own things. Like, what makes you think I'm going to find you devs for your project? So that's yes is the answer always.
Cool. And then what was that team? You said BiCalc?
BiCalc. I'll type it in the chat. BiCalc. Go check out their tweets and stuff.
Cool.
They're really cool.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you answering my stuff. Have a good one.
Cheers. Okay, let's grab 2 more questions. We're 7 minutes over. Okay, let's do 2 more questions because we didn't do any last time. Meltful.
Yeah, hello.
What's up?
How you doing, sir?
Thanks for inviting me. I'm new to the KlimaDAO and the project, but so far everything I've read about it and everything sounds amazing. And I'm super excited about. I'm an NFT artist, so my question is about the prospects in the future of being able to publish NFTs, create NFTs with this automated bonding to carbon. So I find that very exciting. I mean, where's the how can I, as an artist without depth knowledge, enter this space and start linking my NFTs to the KlimaDAO currently? Hello?
It is?
So let me. I'm just trying to understand. Okay, so you want to connect your NFT to the KlimaDAO, or you want to offset your NFT?
So I mean, potentially, I as an artist, I'm thinking about all kinds of potentials. So if it could be, by linking it directly to the DAO would be great in some way or another, like drive any kind of, connection to the DAO. That's one thing, and then of course the other thing would be to offset. Automatically the NFTs, not necessarily for the NFTs themselves, but going even beyond that, and creating some kind of an art project that can somehow get people on board to become part of the KlimaDAO, and also through buying the art contribute to the larger picture of the whole thing, where it's going, so that people, they become active participants into ultimately helping the climate, without having to do anything other than just fall in love with the art and buying it. So yeah. And I guess my question is, right now, is obviously everything is very new, and I understand you yourself is going to release an NFT project connected to the KlimaDAO. So I'll be looking forward to that. Sounds really exciting. But my question is simply, will there be in the near future some kind of way to connect NFT projects to the KlimaDAO, whether it's in one way or the other, and not being a dev?
Yes. This is probably a question for Marcus, but he's not here. I know he's running all sorts of stuff with NFTs and stuff like that. Definitely get involved in the contribute section. I'm sure someone wants to help. I saw just someone there who said they want you to create art around KlimaDAO, then auction it for BCT, which is pretty cool. So yeah, definitely. I think that's probably the best way. I'm sure there's lots of people who really want to do that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I mean, obviously one thing is simply to offset, your emissions or whatever, or reduce them when you buy an NFT. But I think beyond that, what could be really cool is that when you actually invest and buy an NFT project, right, you're investing in that artist, but at the same time, imagine that connected to that, you also become a participant of the KlimaDAO, and you are yielding not just what the NFT art is accruing in value over time, but also what it's accruing in the background, becoming automatically a participant in the KlimaDAO, whether it's with BCTs connected to the project because it's connected to the KlimaDAO, or whether it's simply some kind of yielding compounding effect. I don't know if I've expressed myself clearly, but
yeah, I mean, there's lots of talks of people like baking in Klimas into their artwork. I know it's been mentioned a few times in this Discord. There's lots. I think you just got to explore kind of with the people that are working on different things. Hey, Marcus is here. Marcus, do you know anyone working on NFT Klima / BCT integration systems? Or like how to basically create artwork that is either progressively generative in some case, or B, offsets like a specific amount of BCTs?
Yeah, there are a ton of different ideas floating around. I know one project that's already kind of trying to get off the ground is called Carbonizer.xyz. Their plan is to accept payment for their NFT.
No, we don't hear them at all.
Oh boy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Carbonizer.
Cool.
XYZ.
Yeah. So they're not officially associated with KlimaDAO, but they've reached out to us, and basically what they're doing is accepting payment.
I don't know what's happening, Marcus, but yes, let's get you on the contribute chat, and let's
Wait, Marcus is
find some
talking.
people to help you out.
Yeah,
It's all good, man. I think Archie can't hear me.
You can't hear Marcus.
Okay.
Everybody else can.
Hang on, I'm gonna disconnect.
Yeah, so they're accepting payment for the NFT in BCT, and then they are going to turn around and stake and bond that BCT for Klima. As far as I know, they're not planning to pay out that yield back to the NFT owners. But every NFT project is going to have their own approach. I think what I want to emphasize is that if you want to make your NFTs themselves carbon neutral, one thing that you as the project owner could do is just use some of your revenue to buy BCT. And then we're working on a burn feature where you'll be able to offset that BCT, like permanently use it. And then that would allow you to, to state that your NFTs are carbon neutral. And then
cool.
the idea you were talking about where like there's a yield generating aspect, that sounds really cool.
Exactly.
It's just a more complex implementation, right? But I'd say like the dead simple approach would just be to buy BCT with some of your revenue and use that to offset your project's emissions.
Yeah. I see it also like in two levels. One is, of course, just simply to offset, but this is kind of like what the whole world is moving into, and it becomes more and more common. But I think the next, maybe more advanced level is that, the people who is actually buying into your art is also not just buying and investing into the art, but also into the artist, participation themselves into the whole, new Web 3.0 approach, which is, crossing all kinds of borders and going beyond all the restrictions of how society is put together currently, and, becoming a stakeholder. So on so many levels, I think art is on that journey, together with Web 3.0. I just think it's a really exciting road that lies ahead.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you with us on the journey.
Yeah, thanks, man. But I'll be looking out for it, and I thanks a lot. I noted down Carbonizer.xyz, right? And now I know I'm maybe I can hook up to you or something regarding NFTs projects. Is that did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, for sure. Feel free to post in like the collaborations channel. And as Archie said, we're definitely looking for NFT artists to be involved with Klima itself. So once we open up the DAO contributor server, I definitely keep an eye out for that and hop in there.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, thanks a lot. Cool. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Okay, one more question.
Thank you.
And then let's wrap it up. Someone we haven't heard from. Everybody loves ramen. A classic guy. Let's go the Elephant. You guys hear me now? I hear you, Marcus.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, it was just me. I don't know why it does that.
Apparently, some people in the chat said they can't hear Marcus. So
I hate this platform. God damn it.
Come back, Marcus.
Hopefully it works now.
Yes.
Yes. Overall, if you got a question, you're muted.
Last question of the day. What is up?
So much tension. Hello,
Do you have a little microphone?
friend?
There's a little microphone thing in like in the bottom left if you're on PC, where you can unmute yourself. Oh God, the cat.
Or if you're on a phone, there's one on the bottom left as
Hello?
well. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Oh, you left.
Oh no, we just. Oh, okay, it worked.
Yeah, I
God
did.
damn it.
No.
Okay, let's take El Hajj. As much as I love, everybody loves ramen.
He's great.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Welcome.
How you doing, sir?
Good. I'll start by sending some good vibes like the previous gentleman, and I'll get straight into my question, given that it's the last one. So it's safe to say that you guys are shaking the tree in the voluntary carbon markets, at least for now. My question is, what are some of the reactions you're seeing from some of the incumbents, particularly the accreditation bodies and perhaps the brokers that may be, in response to the scale of buying that you guys are currently doing? And are there any potential risks that are being introduced based on their observations of the ripples that are happening off of Klima's action?
Okay, someone want to give me the recap? I cut halfway through. I'm sorry.
What are the brokers thinking about what we're doing? Or
yeah, they're mad.
And the accreditation bodies as well. So the Veras and the GSs of this world.
Yeah, they don't know what to do. There's a lot of so there's a lot of just to take a lot of this with a grain of salt, because a lot of it is through the grapevine, heard it from this person, that person. It's very hard to actually know without getting in a room with these actual people. But from what I've heard is brokers love it because there's there's two sides to it. There's some brokers who are terrified. They don't understand what's happening to the market. They're like, oh, this is change, bad. The rest of them see it as a good thing. Like, this is exactly what the carbon market entirely has been asking for years. They've been asking for price appreciation, liquid price demand. Basically, everyone and anyone can now charge the minimum, which is the BCT price on chain. Whatever the price BCT is trading for, people just point to that and be like, okay, well, if you don't give me this price, I'm just going to go sell it there. Which basically means that every broker everywhere is making money selling tonnage, and a lot of them actually, I've got a lot of recent reports, like in the last week or two, that they're sold out. They don't have tons anymore because everyone that has these voluntary emissions reductions commitments has already bought their tonnage. They have to. They just had no choice. They had to buy, and so they bought tonnage and they paid whatever price it was. So some people really like us, other people don't. This is natural. This is a polarizing event that we've created. But on the whole, most people really enjoy the fact that the prices are increasing because it changes so many things for the entire market. And they're very, very interested by what we've done. So by and large, it's a good thing. And then, there's definitely other things that are happening that are kind of also pushing, like external factors, like COP26 ending last week was a big pusher. And they basically sealed the deal on basically tonnage trading allowances between nations, which then kind of has cascading effects into the voluntary market and all sorts of other things. But this has basically driven demand as well. So I mean, as the latest figures, Cujo, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like 3% of Vera now exists on chain. So in a month, we've basically absorbed, or it's like maybe 3.1 or 2.
Of
I
the
haven't looked
stuff
at the
that's
latest
eligible
figures.
for BCT, it's actually 3.3.
Ooh, 3.3, excellent. The number. So yeah, so to answer your question, Alhaj, like and then like people also have like in news and media in the carbon space really like what we're doing as well, and they've started reporting on us. Like I don't know if you follow Carbon Pulse. We've been featured 5 times. We were the headlining article like last week as well. Like they just kept sending it to all their users in the newsletter. Pretty crazy to think about. Like when you actually step back, like we were no one, and now everyone knows about us. So it's hard to say what the general sentiment is, but most people in the carbon space are pretty collaborative. So it's like I hate using business terms, but a rising tide raises all boats, right? So if price goes up because we moved it, this is good for everyone in the carbon economy, because like basically they can charge more, you can do more sophisticated technologies, et cetera, et cetera. Chaz made a really good analogy once. He described increasing prices of carbon as like a Kickstarter campaign, like when like when they raise more funds and like other things get unlocked. This is like a very similar thing. Like when carbon prices go up, other technologies that are basically economically unfeasible get unlocked, so to say, and that can be developed into carbon reduction technologies. Like there's a lot of tech that exists in like the $20 to $30 range. That's like sitting on a shelf because they know it works, they know it can reduce tonnage, but it's just not economically there. And the same is true like on the extreme end as well, like $100 to $200. Like there's lots of tech that can drastically reduce emissions across the board. It just costs too much. But the second you actually have a price that matches kind of the cost, it's something interesting for a lot of people. But yeah, to answer your question again, I'm rambling. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had an impact. Everyone here is to thank for that. It's definitely been a coordinated DAO effort and has nothing to do with any single individual, and it's the group sum of everyone. And it's being felt. Like people are starting to wonder what's going to happen in the future, which is really cool.
Archie, have we heard anything from Vera themselves about what we're doing?
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up.
Yeah, I've talked to Vera many times over the years. I've been trying to get somebody to build something blockchain over there. How do I say this politely? They are very slow in their building of things. Like a good example is like they have an API that's like half cooked and like it's not ready and like no one can use it. Whereas like this, it would vastly improve like a lot of things for a lot of people if there was an API for Vera. But like as you know, and how it's set up, it's super not scalable is the word. But they're interested in kind of like what's happening. I mean, they're watching it closely. The true like silver bullet to all of this is if Vera just converts their entire registry to an on-chain system, right? Like we wouldn't need bridges. We wouldn't need to do like all this like double checking and everything. And then like you could just take tonnage directly from whatever blockchain that they're running on, but they haven't. So, I mean, I know there's like focus groups within Vera and Gold Standard and like all these organizations like on blockchain, but they always do dumb things like go and deploy on Hyperledger, which is like useless for everyone else. So it doesn't solve the problem. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take like us being the market. Like, so once we hit like 50% of tonnage is traded in BCT, then they're probably going to be like, oh, maybe we should do something. I mean, maybe I'm hoping that they don't wait that long to realize that, there's something to be done here. But I wouldn't be surprised if it took that much to really kind of push that in their direction.
Thank you. Super clear response. One last closing comment or question. Could you see them closing the taps to BCT in potential like a nervous reaction?
They can't. Is the best part of the entire thing. There's too many people connected to it. And there's like, I know quite a few people who like know the founders of Vera, and like they have no interest in closing it because like they're a registry, right? So they're like they're technically a third party in this whole thing. They don't actually care who trades what and like how the whole market operates. What they care about is certifying that a ton actually reduced an emission, right? So like they have scientific methodologies for proving all of it and making sure like that's their, not their bread and butter, but like that's their shtick. That's what they do, right? So it would not serve in their interest to then close that off, and then like it would just open somewhere else, right? Like they would close one account to somebody, and then somebody else would open one. Like there's so many people connected to Vera that it's the opportunity would always remain. Like it's like a Pandora's box, but like there's no putting this away. Like you can't stop this now. Like this is going to continue for the foreseeable future, and so there's definitely no possibility of them really censoring kind of what we're doing, just because like it doesn't make sense for them to do so. It's that being said, though, I have heard reports earlier, like this was like the week after we launched, which was like October like 25th ish. I heard a couple of reports of people reporting that brokers themselves were actually avoiding selling tons to people who were going to convert them to BCTs because they didn't like it was. I think it was more like out of not understanding what was happening. Now I think we're in a very different spot simply because of like all the coverage and people have like really understood kind of and leaned into what we're doing. But at the beginning, they were terrified. There were all these like random crypto traders with like anonymous names emailing them and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for tons at this price, in huge quantities that they've never seen before." Like people that they've never dealt with, and like obviously it's frightening for like businesses that like have to deal with this. They're like, okay, why is this guy, with Karen hair asking for 1 million tons? Like it's a very interesting predicament for these people, but I think now they've accepted it. They're like, okay, this is how things are going to go going forward, and so it's amazing for the entire thing that has really, and I'll stop rambling at some point, I promise. The entire thing that has amazed me in all of this is how fast the industry has accepted what we're doing, right? Like for many of us on the core team, like we all thought this would take months. Like we thought like, okay, like we'll launch with 2 million tons that we purchased ourselves, and like we'll grow slowly, and like things won't kind of move as fast as we think it will. And 6 months down the road, maybe people will accept kind of what we're doing. But no, it's been the complete opposite. It's been like nonstop turbo. Like people think they've not only grown to it, they've now acted like many participants, people at carbon desks in various areas. They're now participating in this ecosystem. Many started with very small, they bridged a few tons just to see how the whole thing works. And then they, like, after they figured out, oh, wow, this is awesome, they just unloaded the bag. Like they just bridged 2 million tons and then that was it. And they have much more sitting on hand waiting for when the price goes up. And so it's fascinating how fast the industry has totally changed its mind. Like it's really crazy. But yeah, it's a really good question, Alhaj. I'm glad you asked it. Like we've had an impact, and it's measurable. Like that people are the price on September 9th of renewable tonnage was $2. As of this morning, it's $7.70. So just like that, we've increased the price almost 4 times.
Indeed, truly fascinating. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers. I'll move you back to the audience, and I think we can wrap it there. But this was a great office hours. I know this was like longer than usual, but I really wanted to answer a lot of questions. Always a pleasure. I mean, you guys have any closing remarks? Did I miss anything? Anything we want to announce? That's pretty good.
Yo, do we want to do KlimaPalooza soon?
KlimaPalooza. You should really not entertain my ideas. But
I
yes, I don't know. Yeah, so we were storming and brainstorming in the contributor Discord, like how do we, like, not copy FOMO, but like do something similar, like just like, how do we do something fun rather than like, hilariously game stopping carbon polluters. So Klimapalooza was the best name I came up with on a call. It's pretty bad. If anyone's got something else, I'm happy to entertain that, and I think we should. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what we would do for it. Like, we can set up our own kind of like panels, I guess, get some celebrities. Like we can get Leonardo DiCaprio or Al Gore or somebody famous to come and chat about carbon. I don't know. Like what we can do all sorts of cool stuff. Just get like some. I'm sure there's people who know like very well connected climate folks that would be willing to talk about what we do. Climax. We cannot call it climax.
I like it.
As funny as it is.
I want to do like a contributor Discord, like, or the teams like fight against each other in VR, or like a Smash Bros or something, and we all vote.
Yeah.
Team, and we're like,
contributor
wins,
paintball.
yeah, whoever wins gets to donate like funds to a certain charity or something.
Yeah. Climax. Oh, KIP 69. Okay.
Oh no.
I can see where this is going already.
Oh no.
Climax or not down control. Okay, I'm going to close the office hours before things get out of hand. Climax, triple X.
No. I opened Pandora's box. No, we're not going to call it Climax.
Yeah, you did. There'll be like an adult Klima after hours. We'll call it Climax at 3Xs. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. But I mean, I think we have to figure that out. And once we have the contributor Discord open next week, we can kind of move and figure out one of those things. Because like FOMO is happening the 10th to the 14th, right? December?
Yep.
So I wouldn't want to overlap with that if we were going to do something. I'd do it after, maybe, like 15th to the 17th or 17th to the 19th, whatever. I mean, I think we'll have to get it like Twitch set up and all that stuff, because like last time we did something crazy, we crashed the server.
Oh my god! What if we do a Ohm versus Klima like game tournament?
Smash Bros. At 64.
Yeah. 100 people against 100 people.
One Klima or one Ohm buy-in.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, we'll go from there. I think I'll see you guys next week on the community call. Are we doing a policy one, Brian, or no?
Yeah, we're doing like next week. It's kind of the holidays right now, so.
Yeah, exactly. Today's a holiday for everyone in the States, so big portion of people there. Okay, cool. Well, I'll wrap it here. Thanks, guys, for joining. This is awesome, and I will see you all next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.